yesterday, this weekend, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports had reported on the possibility increasing for an expanded playoff in college football, moving to 14 or 16 teams in the near future as soon as 2026. There is increasing momentum per what Dellinger reported, and also other outlets have reported since then that this is going to come to fruition. Forgetting the argument that I got into Blake with yesterday of the fairness of the auto bids and all that crap, I don't want to talk about that stuff. I don't like the fact that we witnessed a product this year with the 12-team playoff that I thought was successful. It dominated conversations during the month of December. It didn't get the hype necessary that it should have in January because of the timeline that it was happening around the NFL playoffs and all of that. But it still was ultra focused on for more than a month. We got multiple entertaining games. We got a couple of dud stinker blowouts. But what we learned this year there's a way to fix it. Move up the timeline, start the game sooner, maybe move the overall college football calendar so this thing ends closer to the beginning of January rather than the end of it.
Yeah.
And also shifting the seeding system to just being the highest seeded teams getting placed in the order in which they're ranked, instead of doing, if you win the Big 12, you get a bye, the ACC, you get a bye, and all that crap. Just the top 4 teams get the byes, and then they slot accordingly. Those fixes are so simple, and I think in the future, as this game continues to evolve and to change towards the future version that could be super entertaining, it would have been a consistently really good product. Why are we looking at it now, seeing the blowouts that we witnessed in the first round, thinking that adding more games is going to improve that product?
Here's what is funny about college football fans on both sides of the spectrum is that they want to complain about we don't need these 12 teams because the quality in the first round wasn't that good. Maybe there weren't really, if we want to expand it to 16. Were there 16 teams that should have been competing for the true national championship this year?
Some might argue yes.
Some might, I think,
Ole
no.
Miss, South Carolina, and Illinois could have been competitive, good teams.
Additionally, for the non-FCS
and Alabama
ball knowers, when there's 24 teams in the playoffs, there's teams playing at the same time. So you're not going to have complete individual games that are played and you can just focus in and lock in on. It's going to be an absolute smattering of content and games. You're gonna be overloaded. You can't just sit down, watch one game, watch another game on Sunday, another game following that. Space them out. Take Thursday to Saturday when the NFL isn't playing. The CFP first round could compete with Thursday Night Football in the NFL. They definitely could. I wouldn't be worried about that. Find some fix if you wanted to get better ratings. And the buzz for the championship game this year diminished because of all the election stuff. That's going to happen once every 4 years if they keep this timeline. They should bump it up a week. It was a little bit of a long stretch coupled with the high amount of bowl games as well. Maybe you take some of those off the docket if you feel like it's getting watered down. I thought 12 was a success. I thought we had the right amount of teams, and I thought the right teams made the CFP. So this year, I had very little complaints with how the execution of it turned out.
Right. We just need to make the adjustment of creating a better filtration system for improving the matchups in all of the rounds. And what I mean by that is that if there is just the top 4 teams or the 4 teams that get the byes in the 12-team playoff, that the remaining teams, you're going to have more balanced matchups. You would potentially get a team like Indiana playing with a team like SMU, or Clemson squaring off with an Arizona State. I don't know if it would have matched up exactly like that, but I'm just like pitching this out there. The teams that were the weakest in the playoff field would have played one another, and then it would have, 1, given them momentum to play better in the next game, and 2, would have knocked off the weakest link. If you make that adjustment, I think that the games get a lot more fun. But now that we're adding this extra layer, I fear that we're just trying to find the next shittiest Big Ten or SEC team. We're just throwing them into the mix. That's what this is going to be. It's the reality of it is that they're just getting tossed out there. They're probably going to play a mediocre game. How can you look at the way that Tennessee played and feel that we need more of that? How can you feel about the way that Indiana played and think, yes, we need a lot more of that to show up in the first and second round?
It was very frustrating, and it's tone deaf because it doesn't feel like a true national championship tournament if 8 teams are just given their playoff entrances given on the conference that they're in. Like that just does not work. If you're not a top 12 team, don't get involved. It's pretty simple to me. The auto bid structure is just catering to the TV money. It's catering to the babies. It's catering. You know what? It's also catering to the fans that show up, that are passionate, that do tune in. I'll give that to SEC fans. I will. You do care. You do. But there needs to be a grain of salt taken with your care saying, our team was kind of shit this year. Maybe we can't compete for the big one. Maybe we'll just reload this offseason with the transfer portal and NIL. And instead of crying on Twitter because you didn't get to see your team get bumped in the first round like they would have, maybe you just take that money that you would have spent on a ticket, donate it to the NIL program if you really want to make a difference. Because you drunkenly cheering from seat 350, spending $2,000 on that does dick. Unfortunately, when we're talking about program rising, leveling up, does nothing for them. You stood up, you showed your colors, and you think that means that you deserve something. That's not true. You want to make an impact, donate. That's what all the smart people are saying. That's what all the administration wants you to do. They want more of your money so they can sign better players to NIL deals. So all this crying and belly aching about, oh, we got robbed. No, you didn't contribute enough. And if you're a big booster, maybe you did and you picked the wrong guy. Don't start messing with the equality of the tournament with auto bids, going to 4 per conference just because you were in the right time and place with your TV contracts and your expansion contracts.